Hello guys, today we are going to deal with Parkinson disease and more emphasis on the drugs for the treatment of Parkinson, that is anti-Parkinson drugs. So I am Ina Verma, welcome you all to my channel. So please press the bell icon for the further notification and subscribe my channel. So let's start with the today's topic, that is Parkinson and anti-Parkinson drugs with the mechanism of action. Now let's see how basically dopamine is formed. So the dopamine is formed by the amino acid, that is phenylalanine. This is converted to tyrosine, then converted to L-dopa, and then finally dopamine is formed. The whole series takes place by various enzymes. And when dopamine is formed, it is stored in the neuron and released at the time needed and received from another neuron. There are basically two types of receptor for the dopamine, that is D1 type and D2 type. D1 type is known as the excitatory receptor and D2 type is known as the inhibitory receptor. There are other receptors also, D3 type, D4 type and D5 type. So D1 like activity is seen in D5 type of receptor as well as D2 type of activity is seen in D3 and D4 type receptor. Now let's see a basic mechanism how these two receptors are activated and dopamine activation process takes place. So the whole process starts from this substantia nigra pars compacta region. This substantia nigra pars compacta region is responsible for the activation of D1 receptor and D2 receptor, as well as this part is also responsible for the balancing of ACH, that is acetylcholine. So this part, when activates the D1 receptor and D2 receptor, they cause the activation of this D1 and D2. This D1 now go and gives message to this part. So this part is known as GPI plus SNPR, that is internal globus pallidus and substantia nigra pars reticulata. So this part receive message from D1. This path is known as a direct path because the message is given by a direct type of receptor, an inhibitory receptor, that is GABA. When D2 gives message to this part is known as indirect path because the D2 first gives the message for a GABA neurotransmitter, then it gives message for an excitatory type of neurotransmitter, that is glutamatergic. So there are two terminals involved in this, that is a GABAergic as well as and another one, that is excitatory type, that is glutamatergic. So after activation of this part, this is called activation to the thalamus. How? They cause the activation to the thalamus by the GABAergic transmitter. So this GABAergic transmitter give message to the thalamus and thalamus become activate. This activation of thalamus gives message to the motor cortex by the glutamatergic terminals. This cause the motor cortex activation, and again this motor cortex give message to the D1 and D2 activation as well as give message to the spinal neurons in order to reduce the basal tone. So this is a basic pathway how D1 receptor and D2 receptor are activated and the mechanism takes place. So when there is a Parkinson disease, it is observed that there are various degenerative lesions seen in this part. So this substantia nigra has degenerative lesions over this part and the neurons degenerated, due to which the activation of D1 and D2 does not take place, and this process leads to the disease called as Parkinson disease. And basically they results in a hypokinesia, rigidity and tremor. There are also the reasons for the degeneration of the neurons producing dopamine. That is when dopamine gets oxidized by the MAOB, that is MAO-B, monoamino oxidase enzyme or aldehyde dehydrogenase enzyme. They form the OH minus radical. This hydroxy radical causes the neuron degeneration. There are other reasons like a toxin, that is NMPTP and methyl 4-phenyl tetrahydropyridine cause neuron degeneration, as well as excess of glutamate by the NMDA receptor also cause neuron degeneration. And either it can be from drug induced Parkinson. This is due to the drugs like neuroleptics used for the psychosis treatment, reserpine, that is an antihypertensive drug, and metoclopramide, that is a prokinetic drug. So these are the drugs which are responsible for the neuron degeneration and can cause a Parkinson disease. So we have talked about how a Parkinson disease can occur and what all reasons are responsible for it. Now let's see the treatment for this Parkinson disease. So the drugs are classified as One acting on the dopaminergic system and another acting on the cholinergic system. So the drugs are dopamine precursor, that is levodopa, peripheral decarboxylase inhibitor, that is carbidopa and benserazide, and dopaminergic agonist, that is bromocriptine, ropinirole and pramipexole. Another is MAO-B inhibitors, salicylic, rasagiline, COMT inhibitors, entacapone, tolcapone, glutamate antagonist, amantadine. This MAO-B and COMT are the enzymes which are responsible for the metabolism of dopamine. So if these are inhibited, then dopamine metabolism will also be inhibited. Then the cholinergic system include central anticholinergics, that is trihexyphenidyl and procyclidine and piperidine. Then antihistamines, that is orphanedrine and promethazine. Now let's see the mechanism of action for these drugs. The first most important drug is levodopa and most widely used. So levodopa is 95% decarboxylated in liver and gut itself. Then the remaining act on the heart, CTZ and blood vessels. And then too, the remaining part, that is only 1 to 2% reaches the brain to the neurons which require for the activation for the release of dopamine. So the neurons when get the levodopa, they convert the levodopa into the dopamine which is required for the activity. And this dopamine firstly cause the resolution of hypokinesia and rigidity. Then slowly the second step for the treatment is the handwriting, the speech, the posture of the person, the facial expression also are treated and they are now normalized by the drug. And so this is levodopa is basically cause a beckoning effect, that is a general alerting response is seen by this drug. And this levodopa has these specific actions on the CNS. Now let's see the action on CVS, that is cardiovascular system. They cause the tachycardia. Now this drug causes tachycardia because of the activation of the beta adrenergic receptors. As we have seen, some part reaches to the heart, CTZ and blood vessels. So the heart beta adrenergic receptors are activated and this cause the tachycardia. And this also cause the postural hypotension. But this is resolved as a time period tolerance is achieved by the patient. Then on CTZ they cause nausea and vomiting. This also is treated by the tolerance achieved by the patient slowly as the progress of the drug takes place. Now on the endocrine system they cause the inhibition of the prolactin release as well as they cause alteration in the growth hormone release. And basically it is said that growth hormone release is increased by the taking of levodopa drug. So these are the basic actions of the levodopa on specific parts of our body. So let's see the pharmacokinetics of this levodopa drug. So when it is absorbed in the peripheral part of the body, then the levodopa is metabolized by the COMT enzymes, that is catechol O-methyl transferase to 3-O-methyl-dopa. As well as this levodopa is metabolized by the dopa decarboxylase, that is DDC enzyme to dopamine. This action takes place in the peripheral part. Now this levodopa when cross the blood-brain barrier and reaches the brain, then inside the brain the levodopa is again metabolized by the COMT enzymes to 3-OMD as well as by the DDC enzymes to dopamine. And this dopamine again undergoes a reaction in the presence of enzymes COMT and forms 3-methoxytyramine. And again by the action of monoamino oxidase, that is MAO-B, and of 3,4-dihydroxyphenyl acetic acid. And these two products when combined together they form homovanillic acid. So this in order to inhibit the inactivation of levodopa, we have to give over here a COMT inhibitor that we have seen, that is talcopin and entacapone. And for inhibition of this process, in order to decarboxylase, that is DDC inhibitors, that is carbidopa and benserazide, as well as we need this action over here also. So in order we need to inhibit the levodopa decarboxylation, that is inhibition of the metabolism of levodopa, in order to remain the drug active for a longer period of time, or else the levodopa is active only for 1 or 2 hours. See the adverse effect of levodopa. At the initial therapy, it causes nausea and vomiting, that is action on the CTZ. It also causes postural hypotension as well as it also causes a cardiac arrhythmia, and is also responsible for an exacerbation of angina, and is also responsible for the alteration of taste sensation. It is seen that after prolonged therapy, it also produces some side effects, and these include an abnormal movements. This is because the tolerance is not achieved, and when the tolerance is achieved, these processes can be inhibited to some extent. So, after prolonged therapy, abnormal movements are possible, behavioral effects are seen, that is abnormal one, as well as fluctuation in motor performance. And it is contraindicated in psychosis patients. So the drug is contraindicated in psychosis patient. As well as it is also recommended to be cautious to give this drug to the elderly patients suffering from arrhythmia or many more disease like hepatic and renal disease, peptic ulcer, glaucoma, gout, because they causes various side effects as we have seen in this part. Now let's see some of the interactions of levodopa. So the first one is pyridoxine. So the pyridoxine is responsible for inhibition of activity of levodopa by enhancing the levodopa decarboxylation, due to which the activity of levodopa is decreased. So the second reaction is with phenothiazines. Then butyrophenones, then metoclopramide. So these are the antipsychotic drugs, and this one is a prokinetic drug. So all these causes the blocking of DA receptors. So when the dopamine receptors are blocked, then the process of levodopa which was to take place is not occurring, and the actions for this are like non-selective MAO inhibitors. So when not cause the degradation of dopamine, as well as the noradrenaline which is formed in the neuron by the synthesis process is degraded by this non-selective MAO inhibitors. And the other drug is antihypertensive drug. Antihypertensive drugs like Razapine, they cause dopa is accentuated in patients. As well as drugs like atropine also interacted by this levodopa, and other anti-Parkinson drugs and antipsychotic drugs have their additive effect on the therapeutic action of this drug. So these should include inhibitors. So these drug includes the carbidopa and benserazide. So this carbidopa and benserazide act only peripherally. They act peripherally and do not cross the brain. They are not responsible for inhibiting the conversion of the levodopa to the dopamine inside the brain. They are only responsible outside the brain, that is the peripheral part. So by taking this drug carbidopa with levodopa increases the T half of levodopa, as well as the dose of levodopa is reduced to 1/4 by the carbidopa. So they increase the activity of levodopa and allow the inhibition of the decarboxylation of this levodopa. Therefore, this process is basically inhibited by the carbidopa and benserazide. Since the levodopa is not converted to dopamine, so various complications which was arising due to this dopamine are inhibited. That is the cardiac complications, as well as other complications like nausea and vomiting are inhibited. And other, now pyridoxine, reversal of levodopa does not take place. As well as systemic concentration of dopamine is also reduced. So these are the benefits of taking carbidopa with levodopa. So we can see the primary adverse effects arising due to levodopa are inhibited to some extent, but the secondary effects are all same. So it is basically known as co-carbidopa. This is the basic name given to this combination, that is carbidopa and levodopa together is co. Classification is dopaminergic agonist drugs. This include bromocriptine, and the newer drugs are ropinirole and the pramipexole. This bromocriptine is an ergot alkaloid. This ergot alkaloid goes and bind to the receptors, dopamine receptor, that is D1 and D2. It has more activity on 2 receptor and a partial activity on D1 receptor. So it is a partial active over this D1. They cause in the neurons which are not active and cannot take the dopamine from the levodopa and cannot store them and release them for the activity that bromocriptine is given. This drug is expensive, but it causes the activation of D1 and D2 receptor so that it can uphold the dopamine itself inside the neuron. But there are various complications seen in this bromocriptine. What they actually shows that hallucinations as well as various other problems are seen, like hypotension is also seen in this case, as well as some nasal stuffiness is seen, as well as and many more problems are seen due to this bromocriptine. So from bromocriptine to ropinirole and pramipexole. So these drugs are non-ergoline drugs, and they go and bind to either D2 or D3 receptor. So they are going and activating this D2 and D3 receptors so that they could uphold the dopamine and store them and make them active for the various action, as well as the switch on and off fluctuation which was responsible due to this bromocriptine are also inhibited by this process, by these drugs. So these two are better substitute than bromocriptine for the activation. Does their action within 1 to 2 weeks, rather than bromocriptine which takes 6 months for the treatment. These drugs are MAO-B inhibitors. Basically, the MAO has two forms, that is monoamine oxidase has MAO-A and MAO-B. This is persistent in the peripheral part of the body, and this is persistent in the brain and platelets. So basically they inhibit, these MAO-B inhibitors inhibit the process of metabolism of dopamine. They are given adjuvant with the levodopa, and they increases the activity of levodopa many times. They are given in its use as a therapy. They have a therapeutic effect seen with levodopa, as well as they inhibit the motor fluctuations, as well as they decrease the dose of levodopa to 20 to 30%. So these are very beneficial drugs to be given with the levodopa dose reduce. But there are some problems associated with these MAO-B inhibitors also. There are some of the adverse effects seen with these drugs, that is nausea, confusion, and some cases cause psychosis also, as well as it is postural hypotension can also occur due to this selegiline. Since this selegiline cause the activation, because indirectly activation of the sympathomimetic amines, due to which various problems can arise, and some of these we have discussed over here. Convulsion patients. So the another drug is rasagiline. It is 5 times more potent than selegiline, as well as it is longer acting, and it is also given with the levodopa as adjuvant, as well as also it is not metabolized by amphetamine. It is seen that the selegiline is metabolized to amphetamine, due to which the action which was supposed to take place is inhibited or decreased. So It also does not produce the accelerated side effects. So this drug is seen to be better than the salicylic. We have seen that in presence of levodopa, it is converted to 3-OMD by the COMT. So we have to give the COMT inhibitors in order to decrease the levodopa metabolism to 3-OMD, and the levodopa will be now more available to cross the blood-brain barrier and reach the brain. And therefore, we can say the COMT inhibitors, that is entacapone and tolcapone, they are responsible to increase the T half of levodopa. So they are given with levodopa and carbidopa in order to increase the therapeutic effect of levodopa in the Parkinson disease. They also decrease the motor fluctuations as well as are very effective in the treatment of Parkinson. But these drugs are also there, that is nausea, vomiting and hallucinations in severe cases. So the next category is glutamate antagonist. So glutamate is acting through NMDA receptors. So this class drugs are also known as dopamine facilitators, and the class drug includes amantadine. So this amantadine is basically an antiviral drug. So this antiviral drug is active in treatment of influenza A2. But this has an activity for these receptors for the Parkinson disease also. So what they basically call the pre-synthesis of dopamine, and the release of dopamine also increase in the brain. But they are seen less efficient than the levodopa, and it is seen that only 2/3 patients are effective to these drugs, as well as the tolerance is also achieved quickly by these drugs, that is amantadine. Therefore, it is very less used. However, the NMDA type of glutamate receptor basically act on the striatal dopaminergic system and exert their function over there. Antagonists are basically responsive for their anticholinergic action. Therefore, this adverse effects are also like this. They are the insomnia, confusion, restlessness, and nightmares, and hallucinations, and many more. Therefore, glutamate antagonists are anticholinergics and antihistamines. So these drugs are used when anticholinergic requirement is there, when there is drug-induced Parkinson's. So the drug-induced Parkinsonism, like the drug like phenothiazine. So when there is a Parkinson due to phenothiazine, then we have to use an anticholinergic, that is trihexyphenidyl or procyclidine or biparidine. So these anticholinergics are used for the treatment of drug-induced Parkinsonism. They are basically cheap, as well as they are producing less side effects than the levodopa therapy, as well as the patients who are contraindicated due to levodopa can take these drugs. So the side effects for these drugs are also same as atropine, since they are also anticholinergic category of like atropine, and they are helpful in some cases when the levodopa cannot be given to the patient. And antihistamines also are acting same way. They are acting centrally and perform a significant central anticholinergic action by the actual antihistamine, that is on phenytoin and promethazine. Therefore, these both drugs act in a similar way, and they are also used and their use is quite less as compared to the levodopa. description of Parkinson and the anti-Parkinson drugs. So thank you for watching my video, and please like it, share it, and do comment on it.